think it's over 3 years now.
I've been on the voluntary list for about a year.
I've been a volunteer here many years. I can't remember how many.
Since 1984.
Actually comes from one film, from one man.
I think to help preserve this amazing history of cinema, not just the films that you can see anywhere.
It's a very good collection of artifacts. It's a wonderful building. I like the people who work here.
Because I think it's worth it, because the people here, we're all volunteers, really believe in preserving the history of cinema.
Well, it's my lifetime's vocation.
Oh yes, definitely. I mean, some of this stuff is fairly ephemeral.
If they hadn't been preserved by the Cinema Museum, would have been thrown away and people would have forgotten. The signs from outside cinemas, the ushers' uniforms, all these things would have been forgotten, and they've been saved. And this is probably the only museum in the world that saved these things, certainly in such large quantities. And as a historian, for me, this is a really important part of our culture. And if we lost these artifacts, it would be a tragedy.
I look after the website, so I put on the events onto the website.
Sometimes making tea, sometimes helping people with tickets, and sometimes I do talks on French cinema. So it's a huge range of things.
I run the museum, so I have a very responsible job.
So many people come here and so many people give their love and their time to it.
That's quite a complicated question. The museum is unfunded, so we have to generate all our own income. That means we have to do a lot of activities, possibly more than we would really like to. So we run a big events programme. We do a lot of work with universities and other organisations because we have a wellbeing policy, and we also do private hires. And so we have to look at every possible income stream in order to keep the thing afloat.
When I was a student, I joined the British Film Institute. I worked at a company called Reuters, and we ran a film club.
Cinema has changed lives, certainly it's changed mine. I think cinema can be an extraordinary tool to inspire people and to help people through certain things in life, as well as being fantastic entertainment.
I go to the pictures 2 or 3 times a week. I used to be a film editor and a filmmaker. I think it's a wonderful democratic art. It's a window into so many cultures and societies, and it's really entertaining.
Well, I must be pretty passionate, as I've been doing it for over 30 years.
But I suppose the best one is when my wife and I celebrated 30 years of being together, and we had all our friends here and we showed the film that we first watched together, which was On the Town.
Well, as I'm a co-founder of the museum, I'm clearly very heavily involved with creating the collection itself. I mean, I have personally collected a lot of this material along with Ronald.
We're not sure who's going to own the building next year, and we want to own it ourselves. It's on the market, and we're hoping that somebody will buy it and save the Cinema Museum.
The landlord, quite rightly in my view, it wants to sell the building, but they are having some difficulty in agreeing to sell it to us. If a developer comes along and buys the land, they may not want a cinema museum, so there is a big question mark over our future after March 2018.
If the museum closed, it would be a tragedy, and it would certainly make my life a lot sadder.
Well, having been involved so closely and created the museum in the first place, I would definitely not want to see it close, but I also would not want to have to move. I mean, the collection is enormous, and that's a Herculean task. So if we are not successful in purchasing the building and a property developer comes in and just wants rid of us, then I think that will definitely be the end of the museum, because I don't think the trustees necessarily will have the energy to want to continue in the face of such opposition.